and gentlemen, this is the day we're going to pour this casting. Now I've got you out here to where you can see everything. Right now the the old scrap is aluminum is being melted down. I'm dressed for the pour. Got my face shield on, got my coveralls on, and the reason why I'm wearing coveralls is because I'm made out of cotton. Okay, I got to go get my leggings on, but you'll see that in a second. So it won't take long for that to melt down. I've got a good blower on it over there, so enjoy. Okie dokie. Well, there's what it is to pour over at my house. In a few minutes, there it is, I'll go ahead and now I'll let that solidify and let that cool down. When I was pouring it, and the mold leaked a little bit on the edges, and that was because of these edges that were so close to the side of the
I'll be back in
the side of the mold cavity, or rather the flask, that it just couldn't stop it from leaking out. But I knew that all of the part that I wanted was in the drag, so I stopped pouring just long enough for it to look like it had solidified, and then I filled it the rest of the way. Well, it turns out when I stopped and I poured, I barely filled that up. Okay, right there. So there wasn't much lost. Now, this was, I used the mold wash on this, and okay. Over here, I'm gonna get you close enough. Over here, it's a little rough, but that's because I couldn't get any mold wash in there with what I had at the time, okay? But look at these here. The mold wash, nice and smooth over here. So, just goes to prove that even with one of the lightest metals, aluminum, the mold wash will help you, especially if you're making a bunch of aluminum castings that are going to go to a machine shop to be machined and put into some kind of mechanism, okay? Now, the next time I have you with me, I'm going to chop this off, okay? Chopping these off, and going to take all the excess flashing metal off of this, and then I'll drill a couple of holes. I'm going to have to make a backing plate for this because I'm going to attach this to my cabinet inside the kitchen. And the cabinets, they're not made of oak. They're very much just pressed metal. So if I was to just stick some screws in there and attach it to that, very, very soon, after maybe even a couple of months of using it, those screws will pull right out of that pressed, it's sawdust really, pressed wood. It's not any good. It's good for looks. I mean, it's been good enough looks for me for the last 30 years, but when it comes to physical capabilities, physical strength, you can't trust it. So you put a backing plate on this, and before that, and you put a bolt through here, not a screw, a bolt through there, and a hole through the backing plate, 2 holes. And when you tighten everything down, the only way that this is going to pull that out of that material is if, I don't know, I hung on it, for crying out loud. Because it would have, the backing plate would have to shear all the way around before I'd be able to move that pressed wood. Okay, so, and well, we had a little bit of a shrinkage in here. We didn't have any shrinkage here in the casting. Okay, I don't see any shrinkage in the casting. Up here it's nice and flat, solid. But down here, you can, where is it? Oh, there. It's in the shade, I think. Okay, that's a little better. You can see the shrinkage here. All right. It didn't do anything because this is what fed this, and what little bit of shrinkage that might have been involved, this acted as an ingate, and this fed something. I know that. So the odds are that when this filled up, it started solidifying right away. All this molten metal fed that. This metal fed that, and here, and the that was all that drew all kinds of material. But if there was anything left that was liquid, it would be in here. and it was just as big basically as this, so it acted as a riser. Okay, fed this, very nice. Let me tap it so you can hear how nice and solid this is. If you have a high ring or high ringing sound, it's solid. See? No thuds. Okay. Well, I've got everything cleaned up. I got my mess cleaned up. This is the furnace, and I'm letting it cool down very slowly, along with my crucible. And well, the blower is already cold. The sand is still hot and moist, so I got to let that cool down before I can put it into the muller. Never put freshly poured sand in a muller. Remember, those are just made out of metal. Some of the things are going to be warped, and you'll screw up the muller. Okay, let the stuff cool down to the touch, and you'll be able to put it through there and get it ready for your next mold. Okay, so we will see you when I got everything cleaned up in here, and I'm ready to start doing a little grinding on my casting. All right, see you soon. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, the gating system has been cut off, and this is basically what the casting looks like. It's hard sometimes to get a view or a visual on what the casting will look like when all the rest of the ingates and the runners and the splash basin, the sprue and all that stuff is still connected to it. But this is the casting. Now my next step is to just go around the outside, get all the flash off like this. You can see this stuff right here. That's not any part of this. Okay, so I got to get rid of it. And then the inside's the same thing. This portion right in here, that's got to be done the same way. Although the outside is going to be gotten rid of by a grinder, okay? And the inside is going to be gotten rid of by the precision grinder, you know, with a bit and all that stuff. So once I get that done, I'll bring you back. Oh, that's what that noise was. I'll bring you back and show you how this casting looks after all the excess metal that doesn't belong there is gone. Okay? Okay, I've cleaned up the casting. All the stuff all the way around has been cleaned up. Okay, now this is the back plate. That's the part that'll be against the wood. All right, and well, this is the plate. The back plate. This will be on the other side of the wood, so it'll be roughly like this, just like that. And in order for this to rip out the screws, this whole thing would have to be ripped through the wood. Okay, and that's the reason why we have this, is we making certain that the longevity of this casting is going to be good. Because I can take this apart, and if we get new cabinets, I could put this in the new cabinet and it'd still be there. Now I've got a couple more things to do, but the next time that I show this to you, this is going to be sprayed, or rather spray painted, and it's going to be this. It's called hammered, okay, And it's the only thing that came close to being a wooden color, which I wanted to kind of have it, you know, match the cabinets, but the only thing that came close is a kind of a copper. So it'll be attractive no matter which way you look at it. But the next time I come back on, I'll show you how this looks painted. I've got 4 more holes to drill, and then I'll paint this. And once it dries out, I'll be bringing you back to see it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm in the final stretch of this race. Here is my casting. Let's see if you can see it. Okay, now it's a little hard for people sometimes to visualize what this is actually going to be. If you saw part 1 of this series, then you'll know what it's about, okay? I've got these 2 screws right in here. That's going to attach it to the cabinet. And this is, I mean, it's like 10 times thicker than it has to be. But I wasn't going to make anything so delicate. This will last forever. Okay? It's never going to break because of any weight that might be put on it, because we don't put that much weight inside those garbage bags. Okay? So, but it's also not going to be like the other device that we have on the cabinet right now that bends, and we know eventually that's going to bend and break. Okay, so that's why I made this. All right, so my next step after this is I don't think I have a thing yet, or a thing left to do other than attach to that cabinet. Got to take the old thing off first, and then just drill a couple of holes and attach. Oh, by the way, here's the back plate. This is going to be, for instance, it's going to be like that, but in between here is going to be the wood of the cabinet, and it'll look kind of like that on the cabinet. Okay, well, I've got a few things to get in place, and I got to take the old one off. So the next time you see me, I'll be either putting this in place, or it'll already have been in place, and I'll just show you what it looks like. Okay. Another thing I wanted to say, though, the things that I made that was supposed to be an upgrade for this shop, the pouring shank, the lifting shank, you know, the part that takes the crucible out of the furnace, and the furnace, I mean the crucible itself, worked beyond my expectations. I used to takes about a half an hour to heat up and come to temperature aluminum inside the old crucible. Now the old crucible is nothing more than a 6-inch piece of pipe with a plate welded to the bottom of it, and it worked fine. But it took about a half an hour for everything to melt down. Okay, this whole system, this whole setup took 15 minutes at most, maybe 10 minutes. I mean, things were melting so quick, I had to hurry up and put scrap inside the crucible so that it would fill up. And then you saw it when I poured it. You know, there wasn't that much slag to take out of it. The pieces that I put in there were the broken up bits of an old internal combustion engine, aluminum, you know, small aluminum one. And now I've used those up. I've used those to make this. Okay, it's worthwhile to go through all the work. You can make all kinds of interesting stuff. Okay. All right. Anyway, next time I bring you back, you'll be seeing me either installing this, or I will have installed it. All right. And see you in a little while. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of this series. I have installed the new garbage bag holder, and well, I'm gonna have to take you off the tripod right here because I got to get you closer. If I can find it. Oh, there's the switch. Okay, I'm gonna get you closer so you can see what it looks like. And there it is. Okay, got it installed on the side. That's what the garbage bags looks like. Okay. And as you can see, this is considerably thicker and more sturdy than this thing. This is what I was replacing. Okay, this one was bending all the time, and then we had to bend it back into place. And you know what happens when you bend something and you bend it back into place? Eventually it totally breaks. So my goal was to replace that with something sturdier, and you can't get much sturdier than this, I believe. That's the front. That's the part that's showing, and it also shows how the bags are held. And this is the back, the support. Okay, that won't pull through, that's for sure. All right, so I hope everybody saw enough to be able to do their own project, and good luck in making things that are makes your life a little easier. And this is Sandrammer over at Ye Old Foundry, and we will see you next video. Bye-bye.